All right, today we're going to go over pictorial, specifically a two-point perspective or a vanishing point. What that means is that our foreground here, which is demonstrated by different parts of it, disappears back to our vanishing point here and here. So this is a two-point. If they only vanish back to this one, it might be here and it would come back this way to this point. That would be a single point. Sometimes there's three-point vanishing points. Right now we're just going to do a two-point line. I'm going to use my yellow marker to represent my light colored lines because that's what I do to show so y'all can see this. So I'm just going to show you. So I put one end of my triangle on my vanishing point. I put the other end of it on my point of reference for the foreground here. And I draw it back to it. Remember, again, my yellow line represents my light line. So here's my next corner, my reference right here. And I have to make sure this end of the triangle stays on that point and there. And notice how this time I managed to keep my point in one place and I simply just rotate it up. Keeping it on that point. Keeping it on that point. And that point. So I've done most of my points that are referring back to my right vanishing point. Now I'm going to repeat the process and I'm going to do my left vanishing point. So again, I find my point of reference, which is here. Remember, these are my light. I use the yellow so that y'all can see it better. We want to have as much contrast so you can see. I'm keeping that end point on that vanishing point. I'm looking for and finding my point of references. There's my point of reference. Make sure it's back to that. Let's see, do we have anything else? Oh, yep, I missed this one earlier. Now we have a couple of vertical lines that we need to draw in there. To be brutally honest, those are simply just straight and vertical, so those are typically not so hard for students to get and see. Students usually have problems when they get to the vanishing points. There's a little line right here. And I have another one that I missed down here. So sometimes you'll find them as you're going, see? Now, as you can tell, I've essentially drawn my little desk. I've got all my outlines that show the desk. Now is when I take my pencil and I'm going to go in darker. And I'm still going to make sure that I keep it on that point. Notice I'm making sure I keep it on that point. I draw my line. Keep my end point on that point. Draw my dark line just on that point. Keep it on the point. And this time I'm not bringing the yellow line everywhere. I'm specifically looking and seeing where does it go and drawing it on there. Just for those points that I know that it's needed. Okay, same thing I repeat over here. Keep it back on that one point. Here's my foreground point. Make sure the back end of it's going to it. And then all I should have left should be my horizontal lines on this one here. Right? And I just draw them up. Remember, if you get off somewhere and you need to erase, you get out your eraser shield and use that to erase. So like that little part right here should not, I don't want that. And I'm just using my triangle to kind of act like a erasing shield too, because that way I can get it nice and neat and pretty. So there's a 2-point perspective for a desk. All right. I'll show you how to get started on the back on the shelf, and it's essentially the same thing, except for this time our vanishing points are a little different. I'm not going to do the whole thing on this one. I'm just going to show you some parts. So again, start off with lightly drawing it, because your point of reference is lightly draw. I know that this is my corner, this is my foreground. That's my vanishing point back to here. And I bring that one back. This is my foreground, this is my front vanishing point. Bring it back to here. Remember, your point of reference, what you're drawing, is here to help you out. So I'm actually going to go ahead and draw. Because I sometimes find when I'm working on the bookshelf, if I draw it and get most of it on here, there we go. Move it over a little bit so I can get a little better at it. There we go. There it goes. It can sometimes be a little easier for me to see. And then I just continue the process. Always lightly draw everything in first. After you lightly draw it, then go back and darken it in. Then go back and use your point of references. Then go and go, okay, well, I know it has this little corner right here that's going to go here. So I find my point of reference back to my vanishing point. Because I know it goes there. And I also know that little piece right here comes down. My vanishing point, there's that corner. And we just keep going and drawing it and building it. All right? So we want it to look like that. So I'll go, okay, so I've got that corner here, and this piece comes back. All right? So it ends up looking, and again, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but it ends up looking something like this to get you started. So I do my light points, my vanishing points lightly with my pencil first, then I go back and darken in and make it nice and pretty so I can see it. All right. And then what you're going to do today is you're going to finish drawing this on your own. So you're going to draw 2-point perspective pictorial of the bookcase. So you're going to finish. You're going to have to go in there and you're going to have to finish lightly drawing it in with your pencil and then go back and darken it in to make it perfect. All right, just like the example. Same thing with the desk here. Go in, lightly draw everything like I did with my yellow, so I lightly drew it so I know what it looked like. Then go back in and draw it nice and perfect darken. All right, congratulations. This is a basic 2-point perspective. Next we go on to obliques.